What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Marchio Reviews. I'm your host, Anthony. Now, in today's episode, I will be reviewing the South Korean hit, Train to Busan. Now, Train to Busan was released in 2016, and it's about a world where zombies have overrun South Korea, and people on a train must go to a certain designated point in South Korea to stay safe into the safe zone. Now, let me tell you, 45 minutes into this movie, things get crazy. The zombies start happening, everything starts going insane. If you haven't seen Train to Busan, you really have to. Because once I saw this movie, I had faith that the zombie genre was renewed once again. Because let me tell you, the way South Korea does zombies and monster movies is friggin' phenomenal. And I can't stress enough about how this movie is and how great and fantastic it is. Each scene definitely differs from the one before. And it's a very emotional movie at times, especially with the father-daughter relationship that is in the movie, especially with certain other characters as well. There's always a big, strong guy in these zombie movies who just kicks ass, and he is one of my favorite characters. And we do find out what happens, and we do find out why the zombie outbreak occurred and who was responsible behind it. Once we do find out, then everything takes a turn. We feel for the character, there's so much sympathy for this character, and it's just very interesting. There are a lot of interesting ways and uses of how they kill zombies and how the tension works in this movie. The drama scenes are great, the emotional aspect of this movie is great, and it's just really fast paced. Even though that the zombies are fast in this movie, it just goes to show like how they can escape these monsters and how things are done. This movie is so good, and a sequel called Train to Busan Presents Peninsula is coming out in August of 2020. So I'm very curious to see how they do that, because it takes place 4 years after the events of the first film. And I think you would have to check the first one out in order to see the second one. And South Korea just knows how to make movies. They know how to make TV shows. They know how to make everything interesting, emotional, and well done. This movie is close to 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. It's a quick watch because you're so involved in a movie like this that you fall in love with it. I have a friend who wasn't really interested in watching this movie because he wasn't into subtitles, but I did convince him, and at the end of it, he loved it. He said it was one of the best zombie movies he's ever watched, and if you look past the subtitles in this movie, if you read it and watch what's going on the screen, it's a great, enjoyable, entertainment type movie. You will fall in love with it like I did, and I can't rave enough about how Train to Busan is my #1 movie of any zombie genre out there. It's great. The storytelling is great, and it all takes place on a train. Yes, it takes place in one location. Each car is different. Each car is a obstacle for the main characters in this movie, and it just goes to show you how they overcome those obstacles. And there's a touching scene between two sisters in this movie that is really interesting and really badass, so to speak. If you haven't seen it, I won't give too much away, but it's really fun. Train to Busan gets 5 out of 5 stars from me because this is such a fantastic, in-your-face movie. And hopefully that if the second movie does well, we get a third movie, because this whole genre needs to be revived in a way. The U.S. doesn't really do well with zombie movies. Once they do a zombie movie, we don't see one for another 5 to 10 years. But the way South Korea is dishing out zombie movies and zombie TV shows like Kingdom and Train to Busan, this is really gaining steam. I'll leave a link in the description box below for the trailer reaction I did for Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. Also, let me know what you would rate Train to Busan. What are you looking forward to in this second movie? Especially now that it takes place 4 years after the first one. So like I said, this movie is fantastic. Watch it on Netflix, binge watch it. It's only 2 hours and 2.5 hours long. You will love it. If you're a horror fan like myself and you're into zombie movies or monster mania, monsterverse movies, this is one for you to check out. So let me know what you think of Train to Busan in the comment section below. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out the next video right here. You'll enjoy it. And that does it for this episode of Marchio Reviews. I'm your host, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.